You know what? Today's one-a-day is called 9-Year-Old Seduces Priest. Now you might think, what kind of weird one-a-day is this? You know, sometimes I really have to pray, contemplate on my one-a-days. And this is one that I really had to think about. But the reality is, when are we going to pull the curtains back? When are we going to get the mask off? When are we going to actually start really honoring, respecting ourselves? You know what? Unless you're willing to come up against authority, then guess what? You'll never have the life that you want. We must always challenge authority, just as I want my patients, my clients to challenge me. And I mean that. I lay everything out. I lay all my information out. There's no codes, no secrets. Understand something. There can be no secrets. And when you learn how to totally honor, love, and respect yourself and teach your children that, this will become a better world. So, 9-year-old seduces priests. Well, that's what her mother said. First of all, let me say this. It's ridiculous to allow any man-made system to sexually abuse, judge, or make people feel like they're unworthy when the corruption is coming from the church, or the corruption is coming from a corporation, or coming from the government. You know what? Government is supposed to have limited power. Don't they have all the power? Our power is limited now. Church should have limited power. But do they have power over people? Let me tell you, do they ever? For one thing, if that which we call God did judge us, these priests would be condemned to hell for eternity if we went by the church's own rules. But understand, I believe that the judgment and the sin, I believe that judgment and sin is a man-made weapon to steal your spirit. And that's what I believe. I believe a lot of religion is. I mean, people talk about Jesus a lot, especially in this country, throughout North America. Jesus was not religious. He did not believe in religion. Why do we turn our backs on universal law and buy into man's BS? Otherwise, man's BS being his dysfunctional belief systems of unworthiness. Tell me that systems don't teach us to feel unworthy of ourselves. What has become of us to allow these predators to prey on our children? I'll tell you why we do this. Fear. Because fear is their weapon. If there's a hell, fear is that hell. Our story starts with a 9-year-old girl, and understand something, everyone. This woman gave me approval to talk about this, and she wanted me to talk about this because she has not found justice yet. So our story starts with a 9-year-old girl who trusts 2 priests that are supposedly celibate. Go figure. This story is one of thousands. And I know right now that somebody's actually listening to me speaking, and this is ringing a bell or a few bells. So this beautiful 9-year-old believed she was safe. But the truth is, she was raped by these priests. When she told her mother said she must have asked for it. And throughout her whole life, her mother stuck to that. Now, why would a mother disbelieve such a horrendous story from her daughter when she knows she didn't make it up? She's 9 years old. Why? I'll tell you why. Embarrassment in the church, embarrassment in the community, and by a slim chance that her daughter might be lying, she could go to hell for the rest of eternity because that's where her beliefs are. And so the story goes, right? Isn't that it? That we're all going to be going to hell if we don't watch it? What do you think God is? A grumpy, constipated, dysfunctional old man that loves us 1 minute and hates us or rapes us the next? Do you actually believe that this scary tale that they tell of unworthiness and hell awaits us? Do you believe in that? Most people have bought into this. They bought into this. And understand, when you buy into a story like that, do you not think that it makes you sick? Spiritually, emotionally, and physically? Look, when I was younger, my father was a pastor, and I was raised in a very, very strict, devout Christian church. And he told me that there was a good chance I was going to hell, and he told me that a lot. I banged my head on a pillow almost every night. I can remember that. Until after a while, I didn't care anymore. I started stealing from my parents. I started lying because I said, wow, I'm going to have fun anyway. Because guess what? Think about it. There's a game out there called Heaven and Hell, which I don't believe in. I believe that that's in your mind. But I'll tell you something right now. You believe in whatever you want. And why people don't like other people is because their beliefs don't match. Think about it. We actually hate people out there because our beliefs don't match. I don't hate anyone. I love the world because this is the game. But understand something. For me to believe in hell, it was making me sick. And if you believe in hell, you're condemning yourself to physical sickness because you become what you think about. Okay, so you get sick on an emotional, physical, and spiritual level. Yes, let me tell you something. When you have these fears, it will cause everything from constipation to cancer. When I work with people and they have all these fears, I can tell when somebody's not going to get well, no matter how much money they spend, or they're going to turn around their condition and it's just going to come back. So let's get back to our horror story. So the little girl's father finds out that she was raped, who, by the way, is an RCMP, which is an officer of the law. Guess what he wants? He wants to press charges. But the mother in the church convinced him that the church would take legal action and make sure that these priests were punished. But to this day, this little girl who's 63 years old is still waiting justice on a spiritual, physical, and emotional level. So, what are the repercussions of this rape? Well, let me tell you, for this little girl, on an emotional level, it has left her feeling dirty and worthless. How would you like to feel that way since you were 9 years old? On a physical level, toxic and twisted. On a spiritual level, God's chosen cannot be trusted. Do you blame her? Let's only focus on just the physical in this one-a-day though today. So what do you do with something that is toxic and dirty? What do we do with something that's toxic and dirty? Do you know what we do? Well, when you can't digest an emotional belief that's toxic and dirty, we bury it in our poop. Why? Well, no one's going to look there, are they? Nobody's going to look down in your poop. And I'm talking about your large intestine. So you're going to bury this toxic, stinky thought where it belongs. That would be in your large intestine. So now we have a toxic time bomb that we cannot let go of on an emotional and physical level because justice was never served. Because everything emotional becomes physical, right? You do understand that. Okay? So the invisible creates the visible. The invisible creates the physical. And when you can't digest, you have to bury it. And when you can't deal with it, you're going to bury that thought in the same place that the vibration matches it, which would be a little manure pile. So when you can't let go, you just can't go. And that, my friend, is called constipation. So we know that everything emotional becomes physical, and when you can't let go in your life, you're going to get constipated. And I hope you know that one of the leading cancers right now is constipation. And when we can't let go, eventually this will turn into infection, right? Because you're going to absorb the waste, which is going to turn into inflammation, then scar tissue formation, and yes, even cancer. So depending on the vibration of the belief and how intense that belief is will determine your grief. So now this 9-year-old girl is put on the most powerful laxatives when she's 9 years old by her mother because she can't let go and go with the flow emotionally or physically because she can't let go of it. Why? I'll tell you why. Because every time she must have a bowel movement, the trauma of the sexual abuse is triggered in her pelvic. And that causes pelvic pain. So she wants to shut it down. She wants to hold it back. She wants to bury it. So every time she has a bowel movement, you know what she said? That ever since she was 9 years old, she felt like she was going to die. Now, believe it or not, she doesn't even have to think about what happened to her. But guess what? It's in the back of her subconscious. And she's living that terror all the time. Because did you know that the diseases that you suffer from today came from when you were 0 to 7? Yes, that's right. As soon as your little spirit was infused into your mother's womb. That's why we've got to go back and rewrite the story. We've got to learn to forgive ourselves and forgive everyone else. We have to let love in for us to have this healing. And we have to do it. We cannot hate. When you hate, you can be by yourself, in your bedroom, in the bathroom. But guess what? You're creating your own hell. And understand something. This hell still goes on today for her. Okay? Because we become our emotions. Your personality is your reality. But is it your personality? Because she is no longer the spirited little girl. And that was her true personality. And someone stole that from her. 2 years ago, she watched one of my YouTube videos, and she has been following my Braveheart course online, taking the daily Doc of Detox daily cleansing tea, and following the Perfect Day diet. You know what she says? She believes it saved her life. Understand something. Almost all the systems that the majority follow are either corrupt or dysfunctional or both. The medical system now tells her that she was born with an extra long colon. Let me explain something, what's really going on. She buried this toxic thought, okay, which was a twisted, toxic thought. And guess what? It went into her bowel and it twisted up her bowel. You can't have something so toxic and low vibrational living in there without it draining you of your tone. Your bowels have what we call hostras. When you go to the bathroom, this one squeezes, that one squeezes, this one squeezes like a snake to help the waste come out. But when you hold something toxic in there, okay, and what it does, it just putrefies in there on an emotional level, then on a physical level. And because you can't let go on an emotional and physical level, like you've got a cork in there, all of this is not a river that would flow, but a swamp. And so when it gets really toxic, it drains the energy from all the cells until she had all that inflammation. Remember, she had all that spasming and cramping until, guess what? Until all the cells get drained, because every cell is a life unto its own. But it becomes so toxic that it becomes toxic drunk. So what happens is it loses its tone. Okay? So now what happens is that we lose, okay, all the tone in our colon. So now what's happening? Well, her colon is actually going to be sitting in her abdomen like a limp muscle, because there's no tone left to it. So she says today, she doesn't have as much pain when she was younger because she was more vitally healthy then, and now it's numbed right out. But because of all the years of taking the laxatives, okay, and she could never go to the washroom, she has so many health conditions because the large intestine is the holy grail. The large intestine holds 85% of your immune system. It holds 85% of your energy. So her whole energy has been stolen from her. And we're going to return it to her, okay? I promised her that we'll get this back for her. And I'm working with her right now. And understand something. Through doing the Perfect Day, through doing juicing, through doing advanced water fasting, going in and getting rid of the scar tissue and adhesions in her pelvis and in her abdomen. Now let me tell you something. What she's going to have to go through some things, isn't she? Because she's going to have to let go more of the toxins on an emotional, spiritual, and physical level. That's what she's going to need to do. Okay? So here's the deal. She received some deep abdominal work, and here's where issues in the tissues is real. Otherwise, your thoughts make and shape you. While this deep abdominal work was being done, she quivered. Why did she quiver? You know what she said when she was getting it? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, when I was getting the deep tissue, she said I could smell diesel. She was in a treatment room. So she was asked, why do you smell diesel? When she was asked, she said, oh my God, they raped me right up against the diesel tank in the church. And it's the same exact smell when they were doing it. So understand something. Your issues get buried in your tissues. The scar tissue, the crystallization, and the calcium encapsulate the emotion because you can't handle the emotion because it might kill you. Your subconscious does this to protect you. So going in and pulling the tissues apart allows the emotion to come to the surface. And guess what comes with the emotion? The diesel smell. Don't tell me we're not emotional beings and that we don't suppress the issues in the tissues. And these issues become diseases because the little girl inside of her is not at ease. It's imprisoned. Her little girl has been imprisoned since she was 9 years old because she was dishonored, not just by the priest, not just by her mother, but by her father, even though he wanted to honor her. Look it. We have to take massive personal action. You're not going to get what you need from other people. Most people are crippled from all the systems that we've been told to use. We must self-medicate. We must honor, respect, protect, and love ourselves first and foremost before anything else or anyone else. So help me God. God does not judge. God is beyond love. Mankind is not kind. For God's sakes, love yourself well. So just so you know, there's a happy, healthy ending to this story. This beautiful little 9-year-old that's trapped in this 63-year-old body is retiring in a few months and is coming to stay with us for a few weeks for a personal treatment and training. And she will rise again because we will show her how to let love in. And understand something, she's already started it. We must learn to let go if we wish love to win. Love is a self-serve job. Let yourself off the hook for everything you've ever done. You've got to, and let others off the hook. Just don't go near those terrorists. Don't go near the people that you have trouble with. Even if it's your family, your friends. You need to honor yourself. You need to unleash the hero you seek, the healer within. Listen. 3, 2, 1. You got this. You can do this. And understand, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a live Q&A. And I'll be talking about this again because I told her that I would bring this up and I'm going to talk about this and then I'm going to tell her what she needs to do tomorrow on my live Q&A. So if you want to join us on Facebook or you want to join us on YouTube, you want to send your questions in or you want to send them in live, go right ahead. And just know this, I also have, you want to talk about truth? I have Andrew Wakefield on Wednesday, and he's the CDC whistleblower about vaccination. And then we'll be back with him a week from this Monday, and I'll be doing a Q&A with him. So understand something. Who's going to protect you? Who's going to love you? Why don't we just start with you first and foremost? You're worth it. God bless. Have a beautiful day.